Canadian superstar Summer McIntosh has won her second gold medal at the World Championships in Singapore. The 18-year-old from Toronto finished just shy of the world record that she set for the 200-meter individual medley in Victoria last month. Marie-Sophie Harvey of Laval, Quebec, got the bronze behind American Alex Walsh. After the race, both Canadian medalists spoke to our Devin Haru poolside.
I knew I had a chance tonight, and I just needed to execute a race that I've done before. And it was just, I know my strength, and it was just like sticking to my strength and touching the wall as fast as I could. And I'm really happy tonight I can come away with a bronze medal. I didn't really care about the time, honestly. I just wanted to get a medal for Canada and step on a podium with Summer.
Definitely the highlight for me tonight was Mary getting on the podium. That's absolutely incredible. And I didn't even notice till I was out right before my interview. I was like, oh my gosh, where is she? I need to go find her. And then I found her behind. I gave her a big hug. And she's worked so hard for this, and to see her get the result, I mean, I think she's over the moon about it, and she deserves it. So, and to share that moment for Team Canada was amazing.
Okay, last one. We're talking about the drive for 5. I don't have to tell you about that, but tell me about the nails. Show them off.
In France, I got my nails done, and I wanted to do 5 gold just for a little bit of bling, and I think it goes well with the theme of this meet. So we got 1 hand down, we got 3 more to go, so we'll have to see about that.
Summer McIntosh's next race will be the 200-meter butterfly. The semis scheduled for Wednesday with the final on Thursday. McIntosh won the Olympic gold medal in that event last year in Paris. So what does it take to be such a great swimmer? Well, our next guest can give us some real insight into that. Brent Hayden is a former world champ in the 100-meter freestyle and an Olympic bronze medalist, also a really tall guy. I'm not, that's why we're sitting down. What impresses you about Summer McIntosh?
Just every single time she hits a new milestone, she immediately resets and refocuses and gets her eyes on the next one. You know, I know what it was like when I won the World Championships way back in '07, and just, you know, when you finally achieve that, oh my God, I'm an Olympic medalist, like, you kind of marinate that a bit. But it seemed like with Summer, she's just right away sets her eyes on that next mountaintop, and she's ready to go for the next thing. And
you've also had the experience, I think at the Beijing Olympics, but certainly at an Olympics where strategically you were involved in one of the medleys as part of a team, as opposed to being able to race in one of your best events. You have to pick and choose. That must be tough.
Yeah, it can be, because, you know, we can be overwhelmed by the schedule, right? We could be good at so many events, but if the schedule is overwhelming, sometimes you need to kind of adjust based on what your body is actually capable of, because you need time to recover and prepare for the next race. But if you got nothing left in the tank, you know, those are the tough decisions you need to make. And I made that decision in Beijing to not swim the 200 free individually and focus on the relay. But Summer just has an amazing ability to bounce back and recover faster than most swimmers out there. You know, we've seen it before in Michael Phelps. I would even say, you know, Katie Ledecky, you know, who's one of Summer's biggest rivals, is able to do that. But it's really rare to be able to see an athlete be able to, you know, have a performance like even the first night when she won her gold medal in the 400-meter freestyle. She got out of the pool, she did a little wave to the crowd, and she was back on the blocks doing the 200 IM semifinals within 30 minutes. Like, it's absolutely incredible to be able to do that.
So part of it, I guess, is physiological, right? It reminds me of people talking about hockey players, for example. Some of them, Scott Niedermayer, for example, they would say after a game, he barely looked like he had sweated. And so it sounds like for her, part of it is just this physical gift she has.
Absolutely. Like, she looked fresh when she got out of the pool. I know she didn't break the world record. You know, we saw her break the world record at the Canadian trial. So I don't know if there's maybe a little bit of an energy management when she knew that she was far enough to win, and she just saved a little bit in the tank, which, you know, be able to win a gold medal at the World Championship and feel like maybe that she actually held a little bit back. It's actually pretty exciting. But I know, like, when I won gold in '07, or when I won my bronze medal at the London Games, I could barely get out of the pool. My legs were totally dead. And, you know, if it's hard to turn around and be able to come back and race, but she just hopped on out and was back on the block 30 minutes later, ready to go again, as if she was totally fresh.
Okay, let's talk about the mental part now. I don't know if you had an earpiece in, but in the clip with Devin Haru, she talked about painting gold on her fingernails for each medal. Like, she just seems so poised and not superstitious and not kind of shying away from the spotlight. Again, as somebody who's put in so many hours of training and all the injuries you've probably dealt with and all the pressures, tell me about her mental game.
You know, there's no such thing as superstition at this level. You have to be able to trust the work that you've put in and be able to believe in yourself. And she has a huge innate ability to do that, right? You know, sometimes it can come down to luck, but what you believe is ultimately going to become your reality. I mean, we've seen Michael Phelps talk about it before. You can, you know, if you believe you can do it, you can do it. If you believe you can't do it, well, guess what? You're also right as well. So, but there are things that we sometimes do to give us, you know, a little bit of a mental edge, kind of put on like a little, like a superhero cape. So for summer, you know, that's some gold on the fingernails. You know, for me, I just like to look down the pool and just take deep breaths and just visualize me just getting down to the pool with that perfect execution. So there's a lot of little things that swimmers will actually do when they're behind the blocks. So a lot of the race is actually won mentally, because you do all the preparation, you do all the training, but if you're behind the blocks and your mind isn't in that right zone, it's going to be a lot harder.
Take us onto the blocks of a world championship. You know, we hear, I was just watching a video where some basketball players were talking about how Larry Bird was great at trash talking, and then he backed it all up. And I just wonder what it's like for a Canadian to be at the world championships with the Americans, the Australians, these swimming powers, and you're up against them. Summer doesn't seem intimidated by this at all, but can it be intimidating?
It can be pretty intimidating. I remember, you know, being in that ready room, you're in there with 7 other swimmers that want to beat you. You know, on one hand, outside the competition, a lot of us are good friends. You know, we get along, we stay in touch on Instagram, you know, we send each other, you know, funny reels and stuff. But then when it's in the ready room, it's like, you know, we're competitors and we're all here to try to, you know, beat each other, right? And you can sometimes cut that tension with a knife. Like it's really intense. But being able to be in there and realizing that they're looking at you, thinking that you're the threat, it's a pretty cool feeling.
Last thing, it sounds to me like you have a lot of admiration for Summer McIntosh. You've seen a lot of great swimmers over the years. You are a great swimmer, a world champion and an Olympic medalist. But maybe finish with this. How would you describe Summer McIntosh?
I mean, she's a generational great. You know, we've had them. You know, if you go look back at, like, not gonna go too far back, but let's say, you know, Ian Thorpe, Michael Phelps, Ryan Lochte. Right, you know, we had Katie Ledecky. Katie Ledecky is obviously still around, and what we're seeing is kind of the overlap of the end of Katie Ledecky's career and the beginning of Summer McIntosh. So it's actually pretty cool that we actually get to witness these two greats going head to head so many times. It's absolutely incredible, and I think just as a Canadian, it's so wonderful to see that coming from someone who's homegrown.
And hearing what you're just saying coming from you means a lot. So thank you very much for giving us that analysis.
Yeah, thank you, Ian.
Brent Hayden, Olympic gold medalist and former swimming world champion.